Hello and welcome to What's Up with Zoo, a brand new podcast all about wildlife. We'll be taking you around the world to share with you what makes these animals so special, and also talking about their conservation, their history, maybe even a little bit of their mythology. My name is Harry and I will be joined by my co-host Alice, but today is a little bit different, so please join me as we get stuck in to our first episode. So joining me here is Tony Binskin. He is the owner and the director of Wingham Wildlife Park, and oh my goodness, he has such a story to tell. So do you mind quickly introducing yourself and telling us more about you?
So I'm Tony Binskin, I'm the managing director of Wingham Wildlife Park. I've got no makeup on, by the way.
Don't need it.
So we bought the park. Do you want to know around the park?
Yes, tell me a bit more about it, because I work here, I'm part of the education team, but of course, Tony, you've been here for years.
Yep, so I've been here from the start of when it was a bird park. Actually, before it was a bird park, it was a pet shop. And that was in 1981, and it was we started off as actually quite a big pet shop. Actually, it was really good, and I used to sell him his birds and a few of his animals, but mainly birds because I used to breed birds and deal with birds. And then in 17 years ago, which would have been 2008.
Oh, long time ago.
Yeah, 2008. We bought the park, and it was really just a few goats. I've got itches. It was really just a few goats and birds and parrots. Big parrot house, lots of parrots. So we wanted to bring it into what would be a wildlife park. So we moved it on, and we brought in the tigers and the penguins and lots of other animals, small cats and things like that. We built it with lots of monkeys we brought in, and then obviously later on, then we brought the chimps and the orangutans and the giraffes, and there we bring. So the park has grown from, I want to say it was 27,000 when we bought the park, and now we're around 450,000. In 17 years. So it's a real good growth. We're known as one of the quickest growing zoos in the country. I think we just chose the right animals. We was very choosy about what we brought in.
Yeah, you beautifully summed it up. So as you said, starting as some might see it almost as a petting zoo sort of thing, and now it's grown into this amazing business. It's an amazing zoo. Over 200 species here at the park. Absolutely fantastic and growing all the time.
Yeah.
What got you initially interested in wildlife? Was it something you grew up with, or was it something you learned to love later down the line?
I think it's something I learned to love. It was I think for birds, for me, we used to have jackdaws. When I was like really young, and the jackdaw would be in the house talking, so they'd talk. I want to say his name was Charlie. But he would be talking, and my dad would have a mole on his back. He'd get that and nick the keys. You'd have to hide your keys all the time because he'd nick my dad's car keys and go out in the garden with them. And he was in free flight as well, so he could come in and out as he wished. He was never made to stay in a house. There was a cage there for him at night time, and he'd get in it. The door wasn't shut. He'd go and get in it for bedtime, and he'd be off out in the back. Once the back door's open, he's out and about and enjoying life. And that's where I personally think I got it from. My mum loved birds, and then slowly my life went on from that. And pigeons, I used to do pigeons, racing pigeons, and I had a big loft. And I used to go down the seafront catching them, and then like getting the good ones that have got rings on and then I wanted to budgies, cockatiels, bred them, and I went to live with my sister, and I had a nice aviary there, breeding them and that. And then from there, I went on to a pet shop. In between that, I used to go, when I was younger, I used to go to a pet shop called Flagship Pet Stores in Ramsgate. And they used to have a squirrel monkey in there, and they'd minder birds in there. And then when you open the door, there was always this minder bird above the door, and it would go, hello! Every time the door opened. It was really cool. But I used to go there all the time. They'd have African greys there for sale, and I always used to say, I want one, and it was always obviously out of my reach then. And that's my passion. Just grew from all that sort of thing, and being around the animals. We had dogs, and just being around animals. Yeah, it was really good.
So you've had this you've been introduced from, as you said, the jackdaw at an early age. Yeah. So you've been introduced to bird life in particular, and we're going to talk about some of your birds later. But moving from there, you then chose to work at Wingham, and then what was your role initially there?
Oh, so when I went to help him?
Yes.
I know, volunteered.
You volunteered first?
I just volunteered. We had our own businesses, so it was really difficult for me. So what I used to do was give him some of my time. I never wanted to come and to work. Didn't want to work with him. I only wanted to work with him, helping him, setting up the birds of prey, because they had a lot of birds of prey as well then.
Yeah.
So I'd help him set up that side of it, setting up the breeding of the parrots. They never could get their breeding right. I'm breeding at home. I've got a massive collection of parrots I'm breeding, so I used to come here, help them set them up, do all that. So it's, getting it all going for them. Yeah. So it was always a volunteer. I would never let him pay me. because I didn't want to, I wanted to put my bit in.
So from there, you worked alongside them. You got to grips with how the park worked, and then eventually, just before it became Wingham Wildlife Park, there was a change in heart. He then sold the company, and then you took it on. What was the decision?
Well, what happens is I run it for him. He split up with his wife, had a lot of problems, so so I run it. I run it for him for a year, and I could see where it was going wrong, what he was doing wrong, and all that. So I said, "Oh, come on, I'll buy it off you." So then I bought it, and that's how it went. But but it was already changed to a wildlife park before I took it over. But he didn't change with it. He changed the name from Wingham Bird Park to Wingham Wildlife Park, because it does sound, it's a better name. But he didn't do the animals, he didn't do the change. He was like really thing. So yeah, that's how it came around. And then Bob's your uncle, away we go.
Yes, and as you said earlier in your summary of Wingham Wildlife Park and a brief bit of its history, you then started bringing in far more interesting animals, because as you said, it was more goats, ducks and things, and then you started to bring in what we might more closely associate with zoo animals. So take us through that. What animals did you choose, and why did you choose those animals?
So we had to have tigers. So any zoo, and this is still now, any zoo, you can't beat looking at a tiger.
Yes.
And you just, every time you go past, you can't just walk past the tiger.
No.
I've been walking past tigers for 14 years and I can't walk past them. I have to look at them. They're just so lovely, beautiful.
Yes.
And that, so you just know they're going to be your number one animal, which they still are. I mean, Troy and Blade really brought our park on. They were really, really good for the park. And then penguins. We chose the penguins. Where could you see penguins in Kent? You couldn't. So we chose the penguins, to bring the penguins here. We built the pool. Made a few mistakes with the pool. Should have been in the ground, but I got convinced it'd be better out the ground. I wish I put it in the ground. But it served the purpose. It's a really good pool. It's been there 12 years. No, maybe longer than that. Maybe 14 years it's been there. So, but it all took time.
Yes.
Because I'm a bit of a sucker for, I don't like lending money. So I have to get my kitty and then I start doing it. So I'm really bad at, I won't go to the banks if I haven't got to. It's really like my thing about it, banks, and giving them interest rate. I don't like it. So and then we chose them, and then we chose the other cats like the jaguars. Then we chose the pumas, the cheetahs, the lions coming at a later date, and they actually chose Jackie. We didn't choose them. They were like mad over her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like unbelievable. When we went to the sanctuary, because they'd been rescued from the circus to the sanctuary, waiting for us to go there, and then they had a few there, and it was just these two just absolutely went Gary over. They would not leave it. Even the keepers would go, "Oh my God, I don't know what's going on here." Unless it was
maybe it's her lovely hair, maybe.
Yeah, well, maybe they got friendly with a blonde-headed lady or something. I don't know. And they just went mad for her. So they had to come. There was no choice. They had to come. So yeah.
And these tigers that you mentioned, Blade and Troy. Sadly, Blade is no longer with us, but Troy's doing very well. You hand reared them, if I'm correct.
Lived in our house. So tigers in the house. We done it first. Okay, we were well ahead of tigers in the house. So they both lived in with us from 2 weeks old.
Wow.
So we had them, and then we kept them in for a while. And then what we used to do, and loads of people showed me their pictures actually, we used to put them out in the daytime, and we'd go and bottle feed them in front of the customers so they could see how they'd be, what's going on with them. Me and Luke would be in there with them all the time. And then at the end of the day, I'll take them home. We've done this for, I think they were, I want to say, 5 months old, 6 months old, something like that, I can't remember. And they used to come backwards and forwards, and they used to love it. And they'd be there waiting to come home at the end of the day, and then they want to go back out, and then we started leaving them out for it, because they just get too big for your house.
Yes, no. As cute and cuddly as they are eventually going to be quite a dangerous animal when they grow up.
Yeah, they were lovely. Never ever made me bleed. And all the big claws, even when they used to, because you'd feed them their bottle, and they would grab both hands around the bottle. And if you try to take it away, they go, whoop. It's like really like, ching, 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 claws are on that one. You don't want to move that. So they would, and one time I'm feeding them up here. Their feet are on my shoulders and their head are up here. So it's, it's a great place.
Well, it just shows how hands-on you are with the park. I know that some people, they may see people like you and yourself who run parks, they may own these zoos, and they feel like, oh, they're just in the background there in the office somewhere. But you're seen everywhere. You're doing hands-on jobs. You're help cleaning everything. Is there a reason why you want to keep hands-on? Is it because you love these animals, or is it something else? Yeah,
because I think if you own a zoo, it should be for your passion. You don't work 7 days a week without loving it.
Yes.
You have to love it. I can remember one guy, I'm cleaning out the bins, and he says, I bet the owner is away enjoying himself. And I said, I'm the owner. And he went, yeah, of course you are. Yeah, of course you are. And he went away. I didn't think he believed me anyway, but he put that on TripAdvisor.
Really?
He said even the owner cleans the bins. Yeah, it's on TripAdvisor, yeah. But so I clean the toilets. I do anything I've got to do to keep the park running. So it doesn't matter to me.
Well, as you said, you own it, but as you said, it's your passion. And it's seen out throughout your life, you have so many interactions with animals and you raise some of the animals here. So there's a personal connection for you. And as you were mentioning with the tigers, a lot of people grow up with these animals as well. And they've known these animals. Looking at some of our social media, you can see people when animals may have birthdays. They're like, oh, I remember when he was just a little cub running around for the first time. And I feel like that really helps the zoo in its image. It has this kind of very family-friendly, positive look on how it interacts with its animals. Do you think some zoos, when they interact with their animals, it's a bit more hands-off? Or do you think there should be more hands-on? Do you think it should be more hands-off with certain animals?
Me personally, I think it should be more hands-on with your animals. I think because your customers who you want to help you to do conservation have got to fall in love with your animals. Why would they help you if they don't love them?
Yes.
So if you've got a red pandas and you want to do conservation on, you need them to love them.
Yeah.
Okay, and those people will help you happily. Okay, and let's face it, zoos do a lot on conservation. I don't think there's any. If you put all zoos together, no one does more for conservation.
Yeah.
Okay, so like as a whole, if you put them as one big wallet, they are unbelievable amount of money that goes in. We spend lots of money. Well, we do on conservation.
Yes.
So but if you can't do that without the customers, you need them to help you do that. You need them to support you on the gate so you can give the money or put in the donation boxes. So, yeah.
And it's a great example of flagship species. So, for example, the tigers, the lions, they are the animals which draw people in. But then you have all these different varieties of animals which people may not know about or may not even have an interest in. One of the key examples is our lovely white-clawed crayfish in our hatchery, growing stronger, hopefully that they can bolster the populations out in the wild. Do you mind telling us a bit more about the crayfish?
Yeah, well, it's funny, that one, because it's an English one. The amount of people I talk to don't know what crayfish is.
Yes.
Which is ours. We used to eat them. Yeah, I mean, I've never ate one, but they used to eat them. And silly enough, we brought in the American ones, which is wiping out the English ones.
Yes.
But there's a big thing on getting crayfish back into our rivers. And we don't put enough signage up, we don't tell people enough about it. And that's why I want to be involved in it. I don't want to see them wiped out.
No.
But they are a crayfish. And who wants to help a crayfish?
Not many people, I imagine.
So that's why you need your flagship animals to help you then bring in on your crayfish. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And it's a great example as well that zoos are often seen as these far-off things where you may go and visit and you see these exotic animals. You don't really think that actually, yes, they are helping here at home in the native countries which they reside in. I mean, as you said, an English crayfish being helped out by an English zoo. It's great. Lots of zoos do now do this. They have these more native approaches to how they look after animals. But I think we got to talk about one particular thing, and that is your love of parrots. Yeah. Now, you have a lovely TikTok channel where you fly your parrots around. What made you want to start this channel, flying your birds, for the public to see on the social media?
Mine's more, that side of it is more about telling people, don't buy them, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, because they're going to live in the wild 35 to 40 years, most macaws. Okay, so people go and get them, okay, and then they end up in these sanctuaries or rescue centres because most people haven't got 40 years for a bird. It's like I've got babies now. We're just starting to fly. I'll be gone, finished, gone, but they'll be still going around and they've still got in captivity, they go 50, 60 years plus with no problem at all. So I just want people to realise, don't go and get a baby, go and get a rescue. You can train the rescue. We explain about how to train them, how you can work the birds, like we do with all our animals in the park, as you know. And listen, if we can train a giraffe to put his foot up so we can do his nails, we can train any bird, okay? But it's patience and knowing what you're doing and asking the questions, watching the other people that are doing it, watch us, and that's really what it's about. So we just want to get a message around, get a smaller bird, get a budgie, get a cockatiel, if you really want a bird, a conya, a pyondus. There's lots of birds you can get that live between 8 and 15 years and 18 years. You don't need to go for these ones that live forever.
Yes.
So that's my thing about TikTok.
So as you said there, it's more of an educational type thing.
Yeah.
Zoos are a big part of that as well. A lot of teaching goes on. I mean, education team here.
And you're doing a really good job.
Thank you very much. We're talking to schools, we're talking to the public, getting them engaged in it. But this social media is far more direct. You're talking to people on more, it almost feels like a more one-to-one basis. And your advice to people is more just understanding it, getting to grips with these animals first. And then if you know that you like it and you're willing to commit, then you can go for maybe bigger animals later down the line. Do you think there's a misconception about parrots that a lot of people get wrong when they're trying to first take them on as pets?
Yes, 100%. What I always say to people is do your research. There's so much information out there now that you can easily work out what bird you really want. But the problem is people get these birds, it frustrates me, and then they might get bit. So the bird stays in the cage for the rest of its life.
Yeah.
So what's that? Why would you? Or you clip its wing? Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't get a dog and cut its legs off.
No, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So why do they clip their wings? I don't understand it. I must admit, I have been guilty of it in the past, and then I've realised, no, this can't be right. And I hear people saying, "Oh, well, if I've got the bird out, it's on my shoulder," and I forget. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Train your bird to go back. You hear me? You see my birds? I can send 7 macaws back to Avery, okay, from the car park or from the field. You can do exactly the same with a house bird, no different. You just put your food in and train it. So, and then I heard a lady the other day said, oh, it really annoyed me actually. She goes, oh, I've got an African grey, but it's been in the cage for 15 years because it bit some of my furniture. No. So, do you know what I mean? Don't give that bird to somebody else that was going to get it out of the cage and give it a life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, they're indoors anyway. 90% of birds are kept indoors, so let's give them their life.
Yes.
And that's what we want to educate people. This cage, because it's a parrot cage or a cockatiel cage, that doesn't mean it bees in the cage of life.
Yes.
We live in a house where we go out.
Exactly, yes.
Do you know what I mean? So
yes, it's quite sad. You see a lot of examples of where animals suddenly become a popular trend. As I'm sure you may know, Pirates of the Caribbean, other piratey type films, they had lots of parrots on them, and that incentivized...
Harry Potter.
Yes, Harry Potter with owls, a very unfortunate case there, especially when they have such a niche diet and, you know, they are carnivores. I've heard stories, rather poor stories, of people owning an owl, and they're thinking, right, okay, I'm the owner, I get to choose what this animal eats, and they gave it a vegetarian diet.
Yes, and not just that, what about sorry to interrupt you, what about the Harry Potter where you see the owls in these small cages?
Yes, exactly. Yes, these horrible, tiny little enclosures.
And then people think that's what I've got to do.
Yeah. It sets a really bad example for how...
We have a Barber macaques, the same issue, where people keeping Barber macaques in cages, little cages. We used to have one called, what's his name, Momo? We buried him here actually. His arms and legs were stuck together because he's been in this cage 24/7, and when he was with us, he could just about walk and move his arms because they've all seized.
Yeah,
it's just like people have got this. They watch TV and they get drove by it, and they really. I think we should stop. Either use animals, we can use them better. Yes. We can think about what we're doing better as well. Do you know what I mean? But it's
it brings up another great example of how zoos help, because of course when it comes to lots of animals there's also this conservation and particularly conservative breeding, making sure that we can bring up these populations, but a large part of it is rehoming animals. So lots of animals in the park have been rehomed from various different locations. Do you want to talk why you got involved so heavily in trying to rehome all of these animals?
Barber macaques, we got a place called the AAP which rescue a lot of barber macaques in Europe. They find them in the car parks in Paris and things. Because the trouble is, in Morocco, they still take the babies off the mums, okay, and then they go out on the pet trade market. But they're not pets. They're spiteful. Barber macaques are just nasty, and they get nasty because they if you ever watch barber macaques in the wild, that one of the mums will take another baby just to make a fight.
Yeah.
They're a bit like humans in a pub. No, but you know what I mean? They just create fights. Yes. They're like, you know, so you imagine now you've got a barber macaque and you go to give it a food and it snatches it out of your hand and you go like that again, and then next time it snatches it, you go, next time it bites you.
Yes.
And then the biting comes and then that bird's in a cage. That's it, you're staying there. So yeah, it's all that type of thing. And then we, obviously the lions, you know, we rescued from the circus. We've got squirrel, we've still got them actually, squirrel monkeys from... it's Helping Hands in, I can't remember what country it was now. It's not America. I can't remember. So I can't remember now. We've got them and capuchin monkeys. I don't know if you've ever seen I so disagree with Helping Hands. It's where the capuchin gets the straw and puts the straw in the human's mouth.
Oh gosh.
They answer the phone, they can undo the door and go and put themselves in the cage. I am so against it, it's unbelievable, but people do it. There's something I can do about that. Israel, they were from Israel.
Oh, right.
So I couldn't think where we were from. And we rescued them from Israel. and they were the part of the helping hands team, which didn't work for them, so we took them on. So over the years, we've done quite a few rescues and brought animals in.
Yeah, and it's great, and it gives an opportunity to teach people how these animals may be mistreated as well, because of course conservation is not just about animals which have been lowered in number, their decline in number, but it's also about animals which are mistreated around the world, and there's maybe villainized, maybe they're just seen as pets more than they are wild animals. I can certainly see certain cats becoming more popular in the pet trade, like caracals, for example. They're quite common.
Caracals, I've always been popular, lots of cats are popular for people. Pumas, Americans have a lot of pumas as pets. The bears as pets, I do TikTok, so I can't talk really about this, but TikTok does create a lot of problems as well for the animals, because the Chinese are the Chinese, they don't limit anything that goes on there with animals. So you have got the loads of spider monkeys on there.
Oh yes.
Which I hate seeing them as pets. I hate seeing them in clothes. It winds me right up. People have as pets and that, and there's it just goes on and on and on. But I can't speak much because I go on TikTok as well. So,
but this highlights an interesting topic, that social media is this double-edged sword, because it increases our exposure to so many different areas and topics. And whilst that's great for dispersing information like you are about how you can properly look after macaws and other parrots, and how you should do your research, as you keep saying, to make sure before you get these sort of species, it then has this backlash of incentivizing people to go out and do these nasty things with animals, or things which could be considered by us unethical.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about how you've dealt with social media now that you've got this TikTok account, how you're trying to make it as good as outreach as you can?
Yeah, I can't, but can I just tell you something else before we do that? Okay, I just want to say this. So when I was younger, and I used to collect parrots and buy parrots all the time and sell them as my living. So there was a magazine. This is how this trends work on animals. I just want to go back to it. So it used to be, it's called, I forget the name of the magazine. Cage Birds or Bird Cage, I can't remember the name, magazine. Okay, and everybody would sell their birds in this, and their reptiles and their birds of prey. And it used to be about 8 columns when I was younger, and I mean 4 columns, this is a big paper, of parrots, parakeets, lovebirds, budgies, all that for sale. And then over time, birds of prey went on. Okay, lots of. And I think it was the start of the Harry Potter films.
Oh, okay.
So suddenly you've got, now the parrots columns are going, the birds of prey columns getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. And then suddenly there's just a few parrots on there, but all these birds of prey. Okay, and then when that all quieted down, it went from there to reptiles. And I don't know what set the reptiles off, but then the whole page is filled up with reptiles. Yeah. So this trend over years, this is over my life. Like, so from when I'm about 30, I would have thought, I don't know when the Harry Potter film started. So
early 2000s, if I remember correctly.
Sorry?
Early 2000s.
Yeah, so probably like once we got over so it'd be about right, yeah. So, and then it all changed like that. So it's, I don't know if it was just to do with Harry Potter films, so you can't blame Harry Potter films for everything. Because the birds of prey were there. Yes. So people were already breeding them, and so it was just that they started then taking the eggs away and hatching them out more.
Yes, and then the owls became everywhere.
Yeah.
But just returning to my previous question, the social media aspect, do you think there should be greater incentive for people to tell more people about the facts about social media, and how what you see online may not be accurate as to how these animals should be looked after?
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you. What I do know the answer is what you and Aaron do, and Alice, on doing TikTok around the park. And then people can see the way we keep our animals. Yes. They can see the way they should be kept. They can see then we don't put them in bird cages. So for what you do around the park is really showing, because you do your TikTok, and that is really showing people, hang on, this is, if I've got a monkey and a little aviary indoors, look, this, you can see this is wrong. This is the size aviary you should have. Yes. Like our chimpanzees. I mean, our enclosure is humongous. Okay, their garden is humongous. Yes. Their indoor area is humongous, because we wanted to make sure everything was big. If it's raining, they've got a massive indoor area to play, or 2 big indoor areas. Yes. So what you do through the park is you're getting that message out. Okay. Me, I try, but it's very, very difficult, because I don't really want to start talking about primates on my channel. Yes. Because nothing winds me up when I see marmosets on there. People have got them in their house as pets. I saw one the other day, they're selling baby marmosets for £4,000 a piece. So how could you possibly buy one? I was speaking to a lady the other day, her sister brought one, okay, and they're indoors. I don't know if you've ever smelt a marmoset.
Not very
Okay.
nice to
So
smell.
marmosets scent, and what they do is they scent to make wood soft, so they can chew it to get the sap out of the wood.
Right.
Okay. So they scent on everything. It is so potent when you go to someone's house. They've got a marmoset. Let me put it this way: you would not know they're there. They stink your whole house out.
Oh gosh.
So, and then I know for a fact, they have these marmosets in there. This is why, like monkey wells, have got hundreds. Okay, it's because then their friend will come in here and say, "Oh, your house absolutely stinks," because you don't notice yourself because you've got this animal around you all the time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And then, so that's what marmosets' biggest downfall is they smell. People don't realise they smell because they go into someone's house and they'll have that marmoset indoors. Really, they've got them in an aviary outside. Okay, but they bring them indoors. Yeah, it's a nice pet indoors. Yeah, it'd be fine. And they sell you a cage and everything like that. No, they just conjure you.
Yes.
Because it's going to stink your house out, and you're not going to put up with that smell. So.
Speaking of Wing and Wildlife Park's TikTok as well, as you were saying, we give a guided tour almost around the park and see some of those amazing animals that we hold here. And one of the big things that I keep seeing now, there's going to be someone who says jump in with the lion. There's always going to be one or two of people like that. But there's always going to be a few people which are like, oh, why don't you jump in with the monkeys here? They're quite small. They shouldn't hurt you. And then you have to explain, as we've been saying here, actually, they're not as nice as you may think sometimes.
No.
I would never want to go in with the Barbary macaques. I've seen the way they fight. It's not always so pretty sometimes.
I don't know if you watched me when I go past like the vervets.
Yes.
The vervets hate me.
Yeah.
They hate me with revenge. So years ago, when we come, I was the one that had to move them and catch them and all that. They don't forget.
Yeah.
They don't forget. So like everybody's there, but as soon as they see me, they're
Yes.
and they're like, why are they doing that? Because they want to bite me.
I had that the other day. I was walking past with a lovely model dinosaur, and they just all stood up and just made that noise, and it was like, oh goodness, okay, I've really.
Well, they do that to me, just because of me. So yeah, and the bar macaques, I wouldn't trust the bar macaque. I know there are places where you can go, but it's controlled. But because ours are rescues as well, they don't know better. So they're really nasty. But even mandrills, watch out mandrills, they'll fly at you.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to go.
Have you seen the male's teeth?
Yes, they're enormous.
I don't know how he puts them in his mouth. They're so big.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't get him with a primate or anything like that. Never.
I have one or two quick, fun questions to ask you. Now, we like to ask a few questions to some of our guests that we come here, and these can change, but I think we'll keep these ones fairly solid. So let's ask our first one: fauna on film. Are there any animals that you've seen in media that you've fallen in love with over the years? Whether that's films, TV, maybe is there an animal that has stood out to you?
Yogi Bear.
Yogi Bear. I mean, he's a fan favorite, isn't he?
Yeah, Yogi Bear. Yeah. It's about my childhood. Never watched much TV, to be honest. Yeah. So, yeah, Yogi Bear.
Yeah. Well, personally, mine are two brothers. Lovely story about two tigers that separated at birth. Well, not at birth, but soon after. And then they have their own sort of lives, some in captivity, some in the wild. And then they meet up later in the film. It's a beautiful story. I love it to bits.
Nice.
Next question I have is wildly wrong. And now we talked a bit about misconceptions with your parrots. Are there any other misconceptions about animals you would love to break and tell people the truth about?
Porcupines.
Porcupines, oh, that's a good one.
Porcupines is my favourite one because the amount of people I have to, when I walk past, they go, oh yeah, they fire out. It's dads and mums telling their children.
Yes.
And because it's dads and mums telling them, I have to stop. And I have to say, no, they don't fire them out. They back onto them and release them in. When they've jabbed you, then they release them.
Yes.
And I know because I've been jabbed quite a few times, especially in the legs. Me and Adrian were catching a porcupine one time and he proper jabbed us.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, he enjoyed it. But yeah, so that is my worst one, I think, in the park.
Yes, I've talked to a couple of different schools about it. Now, the kids are about 50-50, they're not too sure. The adults, they all think they can shoot out. And that's a great misconception to buff for people. So, yes.
I don't know where it even come from.
Yes, I don't see it anywhere.
There must be a cartoon or something somewhere where they're firing them out. I mean, there must be.
I feel it's almost word of mouth. I feel like people are just passing it on from person to person, and no one's had the heart to tell them, actually, I don't think that's quite right.
Yeah.
But it's a very good misconception to buff.
Big time.
Now, our last quick question is bucket list of beasts. Is there anywhere in the world you would love to see animals in their natural habitat?
I'm going to go to, I'm going on a cruise. I'm going to see whales.
Fantastic. And any particular whales or just whales?
No, just whales in general.
Whereabouts are you planning to go to?
I need to go and ask you that. It's Canada. So
Canada, amazing. That'll be a fantastic trip. I'm very envious of that. I'd love to see some more
Well, I believe Wales and that is the last wild because we can't control it.
Yeah.
Where if you go to Africa, I don't know if you've ever been to Africa, you can go on what they call the animals are free. Okay, you go on acres and acres of land, but they've all got electric fence.
Yeah.
Whenever I've been on safaris, one place I went to, I was on that same safari for a week only because we wanted to see. A lot of places you go, you do one day here, one day there, one day there. I wanted a week so we could explore it every single day.
Yes.
So every single day though, we went to electric fence. Okay, we were out all day. So we went out at 4 o'clock in the morning. We didn't come home to 3. So we were out 12 to 13 hours a day. But it didn't matter what side we went to in the end.
Eventually
we met electric fence. Yeah. And there's elephants and rhinos and everything, hippos, giraffes, everything that's in there. Yeah. But so to me, even Cougar Park is not really the wild anymore because Cougar Park's controlled.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just, I find we've lost our wild now. Okay.
But you can't gauge the ocean, can you?
You can't gauge it.
No.
You cannot gauge the ocean. To me, that is the last thing. Well, unless the Russians and Americans get into Alaska, we'll probably find fences in the sea then, won't we? Do you know what I mean? So
let's hope that doesn't happen. And this has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us on our first pilot episode. So for more about animals and wildlife here at Wingham Wildlife Park, please join us for our future episodes. We'll have them out every so often. We're working on the schedule now. This is still very much a new project for us. But I hope you join us and I hope you enjoyed. Have a fantastic day. Goodbye.
Bye.